York County is so much more than just a stop for gas on I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories just waiting to be told. Welcome to the 17 County Podcast with your host, Emily Perry.
This is 17 County Podcast. Thank you for tuning in for today's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and listen. This helps our podcast grow, and we thank you for your continued support. We would also like to take the time to thank our York County Development Corporation members, Agri-Products, Cornerstone Bank, Nebraska Public Power District, and Central Valley Ag. Without these great members, we wouldn't be able to focus on the growth and development of York County here at the YCDC. So thank you. Let's get to the podcast. Okay, so today we have Eric Montgomery as our guest. He is a financial advisor in York County. Having worked in multiple different industries, Eric brings a wealth of knowledge to the community and is the acting board chair for the YCDC for the second time in a row this year. He has a passion for swimming and spends time coaching kids in a local swim club. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks.
So we will just jump right into it. So just to ease into the podcast feeling, tell me one interesting fact about yourself.
Let's see. That's a hard one.
I know.
I've lived in 12 different countries.
Oh, my goodness.
Not for long in some of them, but yeah.
Wow. What led to the moves?
Mostly the Marines, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
I joined right before 9/11 happened. So
oh, wow.
I lived in the desert a lot.
Wow.
And a few other countries along the way while we were getting there, coming back.
Wow.
Lived on a boat, too, for about 3 months. So
that would be interesting an experience for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll get back to that. But kind of going back to the beginning, where are you originally from?
Originally, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
For my first 6-7 years. Farm family out south of DeKalb, actually. So most people in this area will know DeKalb Seed Corn Company.
Oh, okay.
My dad was farming with his family and decided to branch out on his own. So we moved here where my mother was from Nebraska and bought a pig farm.
Wow. Okay.
Remodeled it in the mid 80s. And it was off to the races after that. Lots of pigs in my life. And,
fun. Yeah.
So that was in Bennett, Nebraska, just south of Lincoln. So a lot of fun. So you grew up on a farm raising pigs. Left for college, or what was the plan after that? Yeah, I left for college first. Worked for the Voice News in Hickman at a newspaper.
Interesting.
Part-time, yeah. And then didn't really know what I wanted to do. Felt like I was wasting my time and my parents' money at college. So I saw the commercial for the Marines and said, that looks really challenging. So that's how they hooked me.
Yeah, man.
So,
wow. So that's a big jump. What was that like, deciding to go into the Marines and just the boot camp and, all the training that goes with that?
Oh, it was scared my mom.
Oh, I'm sure.
She didn't want me to go. But it really wasn't. At that point in my life, I was young, so much energy. I just wanted a challenge. So I was really excited about it. I was a little bit older than most of the kids going into boot camp. So transitioned into leading a lot of kids. Basically, I felt like when I was in the Marines, and that continued throughout. Ended up working on radar systems was my job field. So
wow.
After the Marines, I transitioned into undergraduate again. Worked on radars, so naturally I was like, I want to do engineering. So said, let's do electrical engineering since I'm interested in it. And they waived all kinds of classes too, because all the experience I had, which I found out later, they probably shouldn't have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oops.
Some of my classes were a lot harder for me than some of the other guys because I didn't have the background for some of them. But
wow. And I mean, even today, electrical engineering is needed. I mean, it's a really big industry, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And there's so many specialized areas. I mean, electrical engineering is kind of like a metalworking trade or something that would have been 60, 70 years ago. Engineers we need more of them. And we need more that can communicate well. So that was always the challenge with engineers, whatever you want to call us. So,
okay. So you went through your undergrad, I'm assuming got your degree.
Yep. Got my degree. Then the stock market crashed.
Oh, no.
2008. Everybody remembers that, especially in my current career as a financial advisor. I get to talk a lot about that.
Mm-hmm.
So 0 job openings for anyone, basically, at that point. So I had a professor that I had been working with as an undergrad. He offered for me to stay, do a PhD underneath of him.
Wow.
I quickly found out that I got into engineering because I don't really love writing anyway.
Okay.
So I like math and numbers more than I like writing. But I figured out I was going to write grants, basically, for the rest of my life to beg for money from the government to do research.
Yep.
Wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I stepped back from the PhD program, got a master's degree since I was already in the program. Graduated. So I graduated with a master's in electrical engineering and material science. So lots of research into microchips and stuff like that in computers. So
how did that translate over to financial advising? That seems like a very different field.
Well, I had another thing before that. After I graduated with my master's, I went to MPPD and worked for the Cooper Nuclear Station down there as a electrical engineer.
Wow.
And then I got really bored sitting behind the desk. I'm not a desk dweller for the most part. I try not to be.
Mm-hmm.
So they talked me into doing operations, which is the guys like Homer Simpson in the control room, running all the controls, studying, memorizing the whole plant. Yeah. But then life threw us another curveball. We decided to adopt 3 kids through foster care because we've been fostering. The Lord really is the one that directed me away from engineering and into a new career path. I didn't even have a job. I quit my job at MPPD because I was working nights and days, flip-flopping back and forth, and it just didn't work real well. I didn't feel like I adopted 3 kids to never see them. So 3 more kids. We have 4. So
man, busy.
Yes,
extremely busy.
Very busy. So then that's when my dad, who is also a financial advisor, after he quit pig farming, he's like, you should really look at that. I think you'd be good at it. So,
and the rest is history.
Yeah, I transitioned into studying for all the tests for that after I got hired. And they train you very well where I work. So it was not an issue on whether or not you can do it. It's just whether or not you want to do the work. So interesting.
Okay. So I'm jumping around all over because I have a million questions, but so working at a nuclear plant, it's probably not like the movies, I would assume, where everything's blowing up and everyone's running around. What was that like?
It was amazing. It was, you got to see stuff that the average person will never see. I mean, pumps the size of this room, pipes as big as this room. You learn a lot of, if you're a nerd like me and you want to learn a lot about how things work, they train you constantly. I'm a big advocate now after working there of hopefully one day Nebraska can have some more nuclear power actually in the state because it's very green, very safe, and produces a lot of power with a tiny little pellet. So,
I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there because of those movies that are like, worst case scenario, this is always what's going to happen, which not necessarily the case.
Yeah. No, it's very, very rare.
Right.
And we haven't ever really seen anything like that in America, like what's happened in Russia or Japan, things like that. But there's always risks in anything that we do. So.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely one thing that I do not know anything about. So, so you are a financial advisor now. You have a family that is pretty involved, pretty active.
Yeah.
And you yourself are pretty involved, pretty active. How did you choose, or I guess backwards, why did you choose to stay in York and choose York to do all of this? I mean, grow your career and your family.
Well, we had a couple opportunities with my current position, and so I visited a few different communities, and this was the one that really stuck out in my head. Mainly the people. I mean, the day we arrived here, we felt like, wow, we already know people here.
Yeah.
They were very friendly. You don't always see that in Nebraska, even though we got the Nebraska nice,
right.
That everybody talks about. But, we really felt like people got deeper quicker too here. Like they weren't beating around the bush, having as much small talk.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we felt instantly connected to the community, basically, and met a lot of people that, with Epworth Village, I think it must have educated the community on adoption, foster care, all that stuff. So very big into being an advocate for that, to serve on multiple boards and other things to help with that. And, always trying to get more CASA volunteers or CASA volunteers for them too. Whenever retirees that wonder what they should do, I said, well, there's a few opportunities in town.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity too. I mean, and Elizabeth Hain is the director here in town, and she's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, absolutely amazing to work with. I'm not a volunteer, but I know her personally. So
not yet, right? Wants to get older.
Yeah. Give me a little bit of time.
Get rid of some of those kids.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's scary to think about. But how old are all of your kids?
16. Well, they all turn odd this year, so they're 16, 12, 10, and 8. And then they'll all jump up a year, starting in April here, our youngest. So
what a range!
Yeah,
that's fun. Yeah. So I know that you have kids, and you yourself are involved in swim team.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that like? So if a family came into town, how would they get involved?
Well, of course, our youth involvement fair, I think, is coming up here in April. So that's a great spot to. Almost all of the organizations that you can get involved in for kids, even some adult stuff, is there. So that's always a great spot to sign up. Otherwise, they can reach out to us on Facebook. They can email or call me too. Mm-hmm. If you search Facebook, that's usually the easiest to get a hold of one of us. Just send us a message, since we got everything posted on there for getting a hold of us. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, I personally can speak to it because I did swim team for about 10 years until I aged out. Yeah. And then I took a break and kind of sort of helped on a very, very, very part-time basis. But it's a great program, and it's very welcoming, and kids of any ability are welcome.
Yeah, that's always our goal. It's I was a competitive swimmer through high school, most of high school, and I got kind of burnt out on it, but nowadays, it's you just want them, hey, if a 12-year-old kid gets pushed off a boat in the middle of the lake, I want them to have the confidence to be able to swim to the shore.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute, I can swim. I don't have to freak out, right? So that's really, we want to have fun, build confidence, and the competition comes as the kids are doing it. It's always good to have peer pressure, but
well, and swimming is the one thing that you can do your entire life. I mean, you don't really age out.
Low impacts on your body. Yeah, it's a great thing. So it's been nice having the community center back open after all the work they did. So
that's another thing we could talk about is the community has been expanding and growing and fixing up some of their older buildings and just really working on their vitality and connecting with their community members and, all of the fun stuff that you think about when you want to choose a community that is healthy. And you've been involved in a lot of that because you're lucky enough to be our chair for a second time and just involved.
Yeah. I mean, the first year that I was here, after I met Lisa, I knew I want my kids to be able to come back to York if they go to college, come back. I want opportunities for them. And the only way we were going to make that happen most towns our size are shrinking. So if we don't really push the envelope and try to get new business, help our current businesses continue to grow, expand, and help the community be somewhere that our kids want to come back to, that they won't. So that's really been my passion as being part of YCDC on top of all the other community involvement stuff that we do. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have some really great partners too with the city and the county and the multiple businesses here in town. I mean, I feel like everybody has that buy-in and they want a really healthy community and they want to see people thrive and come back. And it's really neat to look at because a lot of communities, like you said, they don't have that support. They do their job and they go home and not here.
In our community, I feel like has got, hey, yeah, we'll debate what options we want to do, but no one's against growth, right? And that you'll see that sometimes in communities where people just don't want the change. Yeah. And I think everybody around here really knows, hey, we do have to change, and we'll debate how that growth's going to look and change. But in the end, we're going to have to if we want to continue to grow our community and our base for our economic development, of course, housing, all those things that we always talk about as a YCDC member is huge. There's never a one-pronged approach for anything what we're doing. So
and I mean, I'm biased, but I think the YCDC is doing a really, really good job of not just addressing one issue. We talk about housing, we talk about childcare and talent and how to expand our businesses. And, I mean, there's just so many different things that we're trying to touch on because everybody that's involved, like you said, they want to see that growth. They want to make sure that it remains what we know it as this healthy and vibrant community. Okay, so moving on, this one is for you. So this is a little bit of a time to brag about yourself. Do you have anything exciting going on? It can be personal, work-related, whatever, anything that you just really want to talk up?
Oh, well, I mean, our business is growing. We bought a building downtown to renovate, so still trying to work out how that happens. As everybody knows nowadays, it's not easy time to do any type of construction. Other than that, my oldest is 1 year out from graduation, so that's going to be huge. I'm very proud of all my kids and what they're doing. Other than that, I'm just excited to be alive, continue to grow, in my spiritual growth too. I mean, that's always a great thing for me. Gives me a good base for where I'm going. Gives me a good direction. And, trying to think if there's anything else. I didn't know about this question. So,
I know. I'm throwing things at you.
Exciting.
I mean, a new building is a big deal.
Big deal. Just to be more excited when I get some plans together to actually make it happen. So absolutely. And construction right now is just crazy. Swim teams around the corner. So that'll be fun.
Some nice weather.
In May, we'll start hopefully going to the community center with the kids that want to start getting in shape before the big pool opens, so they're not quite as out of shape from the winter. So
maybe I need to come there too.
They all think they're in shape, even if they're playing basketball or something. But then they get in the water and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute!
Swimming is
different."
It's a different animal. I remember the first couple practices when I was in that older group that they push you pretty hard, and if you were walking away and not feeling like you were going to get sick, then you were doing something wrong. Because even if you didn't push that hard, it's just getting used to using those muscles and stuff can be challenging.
Yeah. So, let's see. Any other questions?
Yeah. So.
My name's Don Freeman II. I'm President and CEO of Agri Products in York, Nebraska. We are a manufacturer of quality equipment, grain handling, food storage, food service. If you ever want to get a hold of us, you can get on our website or you can contact us at 402-362-5500. Thank you.
Now we're going to move on to a new segment called Hot Potato. So this is just going to be really quick. First thing that pops into your mind, if you need to think about it a little bit, that's okay, because I would too. But who would you say is your biggest role model right now?
Biggest role model? I mean, in life, God.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's really who I try to model. In my business, I've got a couple of coaches, one in Crete, and a couple in Lincoln that I talk to very regularly. In our business, it's a hard one right now to help people. So it's knowing people that have been doing this for 50 years instead of 7 or 8 like I have.
Right.
It really helps to ground you and remind you that things will get better.
Yeah, right. This isn't a pure permanent thing.
I have a hard time to see the goodness that's out there through all the hard times that we're facing right now. So
yeah, right, absolutely. Favorite part of your job?
The people.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand.
Yeah.
Favorite way to wind down, relax at the end of the day?
Construction.
Really?
I don't know why. The engineering part of my brain, I build portfolios all day long, but I need to build something with my hands. So I like to do projects at the house.
Okay.
My wife decided to buy chickens. Elizabeth.
Interesting.
So that's our new project. So I got to make sure the coop is built here this spring when they get bigger. So
that's fun.
Yeah. So we love gardening in the summer too. That's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. Best place you've ever traveled to?
Ooh, it's a hard one.
I know. It's hard. I don't know if I could even answer some of these. So,
well, it's either Sweden or the Alps were amazing. When I got to go there, cool. Interlaken area was, it was like The Sound of Music, it was like the movie.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. It was really neat. I've been so many places with the military too, on top of traveling that, even in Iraq and Iran, all those places, there's some really amazing places to see, even though it's very deserty. But I'd say Interlaken, Switzerland.
Yeah.
Probably
maybe
the coolest place.
Bucket list destination.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We just went to Oregon this year too, and that was...
I've heard that cool Oregon's gorgeous too. Yeah. A little bit rainy, but...
Well, not much when we were there in the
that's
summer.
Good.
Yeah, we got lucky. Yeah, not as much, so...
All right. So just to kind of close it out, do you have anything that you would say makes it easy to promote living in York County, or how would you pitch it to someone that was thinking about moving here, or maybe somewhere in, I don't know, Texas or something?
Wow. Yeah. It's a small enough community that you know a lot of people. It's very easy to have a great and close group of friends, but it's big enough that, hey, we have everything that you would want. Maybe not, or everything you would need, maybe not everything you want.
Right.
But the stuff that you want is close enough between Lincoln and Grand Island. So between that and our great school systems, great support systems, there's just not really much that I could say we don't have here that I would need. So it's a great place to raise a family. And retire. I know a lot of people that just decide to retire in York because it's a great community. Yeah. So absolutely. And I would second all of that. So 100%. Yeah. I love York. So
Yeah.
Not planning on moving ever.
Good. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, thank you, Eric, so much for joining me today. I really loved learning about your history and your work experience. You have a lot of interesting stories, interesting experiences.
Yeah. I told you about a 10th of them. So.
Oh, man. So maybe another podcast is coming down the road.
Yeah, another one down the road. We can
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Emma.
In closing, we would like to once again take the time to thank our members, the people that help us drive change. We would like to thank York State Bank, Henderson State Bank, York General, Mead Lumber Company Incorporated, and York News Times. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in. Catch you next time.